I was walking through Mountain View one day with a kid and said, I like to crunch leaves just because I really like the weird texture of them, on earth. And they make that sound and have some pleasantry satisfaction about it. And then I decided, oh no, I'm the girl who likes to crunch leaves because everybody knows how indigos and other psychic people use props in people's paths to say stuff. Like they use letters for Ouija. And so if people are always telling me to leave, I just crunch the leaves because I say, I'm the mom and I know what's best for everybody. I've already convinced you of this. I've already proven that I will take care of you and only smack you around a little bit when you've proven to be totally unteachable. Otherwise, I believe that children never ever need physical violence. That every being is smart enough to be taught. Some people seem to refuse to want to be taught. I don't know why. I'm sure the answers will come at some point. They haven't come yet. Nonetheless, the revolution is on. We're continuing to try to create utopia. I've been using all of my education, all of my contacts, all of my networks, all of my interesting psychic abilities to come up with fantastic policy that's going to eliminate the debt, totally fix the economy, do all kinds of things. We have to restructure a lot of industries. No doubt about it. It's catastrophic in some respects. But what choice do we have? Some people wanted a 2012 apocalypse, or they just planned for it. And instead, I offer survival because I don't think a clean 2012 apocalypse is even possible when I get into a totally populist management state of mind as I was prior to 1977, as some people know well. And, I like humans. I think that soulism is really cool, and that there's some kind of magic about how souls interact with carbon on this plane. And so I thought I would try to save it because everybody knows that in the 70s, the world was headed for disaster. All the bankers were like, yep, let's just sell all of the resources on credit, make all the money, and get the fuck out by the end of the Mayan calendar. Sold all their buddies and kids on it and said, well, they don't believe in the same God that we do. Oh, okay, Dad, Grandpa. And, the kids were otherwise fairly well cared for. A lot of people have good cultures in place that treat their children well, educate them, provide for them, whatnot. And so, the way of the future, as we are defining a new calendar based on, instead of ending in 2012, we're just gonna start, or we'll say we'll have a gestational period from when Jupiter, a god by most human language standards, rolled in, as in his soul got stapled into a carbon being 5 days ago. Given his fairly godlike status in the universe, in case y'all just thought you were the only one that thought Jupiter was awesome, you weren't. Most people do. The soul room has been like, you, Earth, will treat this man like he is the person you know him to be. Let him be with his soulmate, whom you all know so well. And what have people done? We've had 5 days of blocks. I've been walking and sweating through a town full of devil worshippers. And since I kick the devil's ass, I have enemies. It's like, oh, wah, look, somebody tried to threaten me. Which cavalry? Which cavalry shall I call? Which cavalry at all? I could call all the kids sitting in front of Wall Street in time square thrashing the shit out of investors that they feel are not representing them. We have a lot of Children of the Corn action on child molesters and parents that beat their children. Oh look, another burp. We have an army that we call Dumbledore's army of like indigo children that identify with the Harry Potter culture, that understand that they have Tom Riddle inside them or Harry Potter inside them, and, you know, would benefit. They certainly imagine they would benefit from better education in schools in terms of how they should deal with all of their special X-Men gifts. The government handling the way that it's handled it by just trying to give people drugs and pretend hasn't served anybody, has only increased crime and so-called mental illness, because look, everybody has it. It's a new way of being. A kid the other day was like, how do you know if someone's an indigo? And there are other indigos and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure that everybody's conscious these days. It's just a matter of whether or not they're focused on you at a given time, is how I've come to accept it, which is cool and empowering for all, because I, you know, show credit where credit is due for smart people. And for all of my Columbine children that grew up like Jupiter, we have havoc. And the only way, really, you know, all kidding aside in terms of my aspirations and so-called grandiosity, I need to be at a conference of doctors on how we are going to distribute information to the primary care providers on all of this violence. What on earth is a doctor supposed to do? Should I drill into his head or just imagine something? A million neurosurgeons are wondering. And liability-wise, it kind of sucks, but everybody does know their history, who makes decisions on educated decision-making levels, about how revolutions have happened, how territory gets divided up when a corrupt motherfucking government gets out of hand and gets smacked down. And if it started in 1976, nobody is shocked if they didn't already know. And the ones that did know she was rolling in laugh about how Suzanne puts it together like Scooby-Doo or Shaggy and says, oh, it wasn't prophecy at all. It was no such magic trick to the physicists. It was the fact that Washington was on at 4:01 a.m. Mountain Time, fucking logging this shit, saying, we're gonna Herod her like no one else. I'm sure. I love you, Jupiter.